The woman who confessed to the murder of Victoria Stafford continues her testimony today.
And a Toronto high school teacher is recovering after he was hit by a van. Humber News starts now.
Hello, it's Wednesday, March 14th. Welcome to Humber News, coming to you from the Broadcast Center here at the North Campus. I'm Dylan McKenzie. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Kate Foster. Ahead on our show, we have all your news, sports, and entertainment highlights, as well as your 5-day weather forecast. But first, Dylan has our top story.
The trial of the man accused of killing 8-year-old Victoria Stafford continues today in London. Terry Lynn McClintock is on the stand for a second day at the murder trial of her former boyfriend, Michael Rafferty. McClintock testified that after she murdered Stafford, she and Rafferty changed shoes and drove to a car wash in Cambridge, where they threw away Stafford's backpack, clothing, and the hammer used to kill the girl. She said she later told Rafferty she would take the fall for Stafford's death. McClintock says once the search efforts for the girl began, she helped hand out flyers about the girl's disappearance. McClintock pleaded guilty to the murder in April 2010. Rafferty has pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder, sexual assault causing bodily harm, and kidnapping.
A former RCMP officer has been sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Ottawa police officer Eric Chapnick. After less than a day of deliberation, the jury found Kevin Gregson guilty of first-degree murder. Gregson stabbed Chapnick outside an Ottawa hospital in 2008. The defense argued for manslaughter rather than first-degree murder. The conviction late last night was followed by victim impact statements by 4 people who knew Chapnick. His widow and son were among them.
A Toronto teacher has suffered leg injuries after a hit and run near his Rexdale home. The 39-year-old was hit during an altercation that began after his house was egged. Police say the man was cleaning up the egg when he saw what he believed was the suspect's vehicle. While police say the details aren't clear, it appears the man approached the vehicle with a baseball bat. The man's wife says she heard the sound of a vehicle accelerating, followed by a thump. She went outside to find her husband laying on the road. The man underwent surgery earlier this morning. Police are looking for a dark-colored minivan that may have a broken window.
Encyclopedia Britannica has just announced it will no longer publish in hard copy. The encyclopedia will only be available online. Humber News reporter Thomas Surska, that's under C in your encyclopedia, has the details.
It's the end of an era for one of the world's most recognizable encyclopedias. After 244 years, Encyclopedia Britannica is preparing to move exclusively to the web. With the change, the shelves of the Humber Library reference section will become a little more empty. Phyllis Campbell has worked as a library technician at Humber for 31 years. She says web encyclopedias better meet the needs of students.
It's much easier, much quicker, so the students can just print off whatever they need.
Even though there will be fewer books in the library in the coming years, Campbell says students can still make use of the many services offered there.
We get a lot of students coming in too who don't know how to research and how to look for the things and the databases, how to use the databases, and that we even have electronic books. So we're still instructing people on how to access things from home or wherever, or how to access what we have.
The library at Humber College is busy as ever. The need for students to research remains the same. Even with Encyclopedia Britannica closing one chapter in its history, the need for research remains. Thomas Surska, Humber News.
The Ontario Lottery and Gaming Corporation has announced they are closing slots in 3 border cities. Slot machines at Windsor Raceway, Fort Erie, and Hiawatha in Sarnia will be permanently shut down on April 30th. In a news conference earlier today, representatives from the Crown Corporation said they regret the closures will affect employees. About 400 full-time and 160 part-time jobs will be lost. The closures come after plans were announced earlier this week to expand gambling facilities in Ontario to help pay down the provincial deficit.
You can now play air hockey on your iPad with your cat.
All right, go ahead. All right, okay, so.
Cat food company Friskies is behind the app titled You vs. Cat. The app allows owners to play against their cats by flicking the puck across the screen while their cat tries to block it with a paw swipe. It's the first dual-species app created for the iPad. You vs. Cat debuted this week at the South by Southwest Interactive Festival in Austin, Texas. According to the company's worldwide leaderboard, cats have been beating humans by over 1,000 points.
Looks like I have some big plans with Whiskers tonight. When we come back, we'll have more from news across the country and around the world. Justin Irwin will have the sports news, and we'll have your weather forecast with Philip Maciel.
The day started off cool, but the good news, there's nowhere to go but up. I have your 5-day weather forecast coming up right after the break.